I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. It so happened that I became an entrepreneur. So I started companies for others. I started about 20 companies from scratch. Any startup I've seen on an average goes through 3 or 4 change in the business model.
What is that one quality or one question that you always ask when you're hiring a leader for your own team?
Is what's been the most stressful moment in their life and how did they handle it?
In any people business, CEO is a CHRO.
If you take care of your people, they will take care of the
Yeah.
business. If I have to count some of the key learnings, selecting the right people, the right team is absolutely critical.
So, what are some of the traits that you look for?
In my view, a leader needs to go in the front in terms of crisis. But in other times, that leader should be one amongst all the team members. Every leader, again, needs to be able to do selling because selling is what gets the bread and butter on the table,
Yeah.
right?
Hello and welcome to the For All podcast by Great Place to Work India. I am Balbir Singh, the CEO of Great Place to Work in India. In this podcast series, we'll be delving into the conversations with CEOs that make great workplaces, their stories, and their dilemmas. In this episode, I have with me Dhiraj Singh. Dhiraj is the CEO of SIS Group Enterprises, and SIS is a market leader in facility management, cash logistics, and security. And without further ado, let me get started with Dhiraj. Welcome, Dhiraj.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
for your
Balwant.
time.
Thank you, Balwant.
Dhiraj, to begin with, we need to know from you a story that only you can tell. Uh, something from your personal story, where you are today, how you got started, and some of the career lessons that you learned on the way, and where you are today. So, if you can just give a brief overview of your profile, that will really help.
Sure. So I grew up in a small town, right, where everyone was supposed to become a doctor or an engineer.
Yeah.
I chose to be an engineer. I managed to get into IIT, but I knew I didn't have an engineering brain. But I did top in the economics section out there. I'm in the economics paper. So I realized very early on that I have a business sense. And I followed up on that. I did my MBAs, etc. I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It so happened that I became an entrepreneur. So I started companies for others. I started about 20 companies from scratch and mostly for others. Right?
Yeah.
And if I connect the dots, they are in the areas of financing assets, creating assets, delivering assets, and now management of assets. Right. If I look at some of the pivotal points, I mean, when I was doing my management degree in US, I left it halfway. I said I'm going back. I was on scholarship and all, but I said I'm going back. Right?
Yeah.
To start small hydel power plants in India. That was a business opportunity I saw. And then how it turned out, there was another company, a very large company, Bechtel Enterprises, who were looking at similar business for India. And we chanced upon each other. And then I canceled my ticket and went back to college, did my degree, and joined them and came to start the work in India for them. Similarly, when I was in a large multinational, again in project management side, I suddenly took the jump towards the BPO side. I went and joined a BPO company, completely alien. Clearly, I was the misfit there, but the skills I picked out from there, that helped me start the entire engineering outsourcing work for a very large global EPC company, engineering construction company. And from there, that whole business grew in India. Similarly, I knew I was good in doing deals, right? And then I was lucky to start a private equity fund with DLF as the sponsor. So these are all turning points that happened. But at the end of it, I realized I'm a very strong people person. Right? There was an incident in Dubai airport when I was part of that engineering company. I was a director in Middle East also. And unfortunately, the Dubai airport, there was an accident. About 12 laborers died in that incident, most of them Indian. So I was asked to fly from India because the emotions were flying high at that time. And I had to go in the middle of them, hundreds of workers, and to pacify them at that time. I felt confident in able to kind of do that. And I realized that I think I can handle people much better. And there's no better group than SIS. If you want to get more interaction with people and be able to influence the lives of people, And so that's how I landed in SIS, and it's been a long, happy 13, 14 years journey.
Wow, wow. So I think, Dheeraj, if I were to pick up on something that you just said, you know, you spoke about entrepreneur, how you started a lot of the organizations within the organizations that you're working for. And as an entrepreneur, you have to have a very high risk profile. And there are big bets if you take those. So, what are some of the lessons that you learned? One is definitely I learned from you. You realize that you are a people person. When running some of these organizations. What are some of the other leadership tenets or lessons that you learned that kept you, made you, prepared you for the future that was to come for you? And for our listeners, there are a lot of startup founders in India, a lot of people who want to get started. Anything that you would warn them against, or to just make sure that you are crossing some of these things before you get started?
Right. So any startup journey is, by nature of a startup, you're going to have all kind of challenges, ups and downs, a lot of failures also, right? But if I have to count some of the key learnings from many of the startups, that selecting the right team is absolutely critical, right? You can't do it on your own. You have to have the right team, and selecting the right team is most important. And then setting that culture, that DNA, that fabric of that company, the foundation of that company is again super important. Right? Then comes a lot of persistence and execution focus, because as I said, there'll be challenges, ups and downs, problems to solve. You got to have that persistence that, okay, we'll go over it. I mean, we'll solve the issues. And that execution focus, because a lot of ideas are great in the drawing room and in the brain.
Yeah.
Challenges when you translate into reality.
Execution.
So execution focus, I realize, is very, very critical. The right kind of partnerships. And partnerships can be the equity partner that you get, or any joint venture partner, alliance partner. You have to have the right partnerships, collaborative model from the beginning. Any startup I've seen on an average goes through 3 or 4 change in the business model, right? So being able to have that ability to pivot at the right moment is super critical again, right?
Yeah, I think you spoke about perseverance, you spoke about, discipline, setting the procedures, and how important is, having the right team. And, now as you lead an organization with more than 3 lakh employees, you're a large scale employer in the two sense. What are some of the things or leadership, traits that you look for in your people, and that makes your organization more inclusive? And also for people who work across thousands of locations at the same time, and they feel belonged to this organization called SIS. So what are the some of the traits that you look for?
So if I look what I would see in myself as a leader, and I would like to see similar qualities in another leader, though it should not be the same replication, because we all bring different skills. But I just posted, in fact, a photograph on LinkedIn where I have a tiger with, actually, there were 5 cubs following it. And the photo below that, the tiger is walking in parallel with the 5 cubs. And I said that, in my view, a leader needs to go in the front in terms of crisis, right? But in other times, that leader should be one amongst all the team members, right? Go along together. And that has a lot of meaning for me. In my style, I've seen that I like to keep that balance. Maybe because I'm liberal, that I like that balance. But that balance is very important. Right from, I can be a very hands-on leader, but I follow a very delegative style of leader also. I can be a great personal friend to some of the people who report to me, but I can be a very commanding boss also. I have a growth mindset, but I can be conservative when it comes to it. I can be innovative, but at the same time be a little traditional, right? So that balance is important, especially in a business like ours, right?
Yeah.
Second thing, probably the most important thing in my view, is that you need to be a very, very emotionally resilient person, a high EQ, right? Ability to kind of bounce back after any adversity. Uh, the maturity, emotional maturity to handle so many people,
Yeah.
their aspirations, their complaints. You have to play that Aunt Agni, Agni hand to so many of them, right? So you need to have a very high EQ, and probably that's been one of my personal evolution through my corporate journey. I used to be a very volatile kind of person, right? I used to get upset, stressed, sometimes angry, but I intentionally, deliberately forced that change upon myself, and I'm quite happy. I still sometimes get a little bit flustered, but on an average, I am quite satisfied with the output, and I hope it continues like that. Second thing, in a business like ours, a CEO has to be, or leader has to be a CHRO, right?
Okay.
Every leader has
Yeah.
to be a CHRO. In
Okay.
fact, we don't have a designation of a CHRO for anyone else,
Oh.
because every CEO is supposed to do that role. It's a people business. That's our raw product. That's our final product. So you've got to invest your time in that part. The other thing I've realized is that every leader again needs to be able to do selling. I mean, I've seen you as a leader also doing that, Balveer, right? Because selling is what gets the bread and butter on the table, right? A leader has to make that lead by example of being able to earn something for the team. On the software aspects, apart from having that passion, that mojo, uh, just yesterday I was talking to Rituraj, our founder, family side, and he was talking about the mojo, right? So very important. Together with that, you need to be very confident in yourself and secure, right? Because I've seen a lot of leaders who become insecure and then are not able to groom that next line of leadership, right? I think in a people business, you can't be insecure. Everyone has plus and minus. You need to be aware of your minuses, but as a total, you need to be confident and secure in yourself.
Wow. I think there are at least 10 more questions that I can ask only on that answer. But I must say, you are one lucky fellow to see a tiger with 5 cups. And that's what most of the people who are going to see that post think like, but how many hours did you have to wait, or how many years did you have to wait for that one capture?
Yeah, people see the final output.
Exactly.
Just like in any business, people see the final success.
Exactly.
And they don't see the sweat and frustration behind it. There might have been many trips where I've come back empty-handed after spending almost 12 hours in the sweltering sun on a weekend out there. In this particular case, I had to wait about 6-7 hours, but I managed to get it.
I think it's persistence. I think that's the story. I think people see the results, and it's that passion that goes into that wait. And because I think it's that mojo, because you love what you are doing and you don't mind the wait, because the outcomes are going to pay for all the efforts.
Correct. So a lot of people ask me, how do I manage with my passions, my personal pursuits, the LinkedIn? And my answer is time management. I see is energy management, right? And what fuels energy the most is passion. So I'm lucky that my passion, which I say 1 P is equal to 2 Ps, the other Ps are the people and the photography, right? So that gives me the fuel to manage my people at the work and manage the wildlife photography part. But from this, you mentioned upon the patience part, there are 4 other Ps, right, that come out from it. One is the patience. You need to be very patient. And I've learned to be far more patient after my wildlife pursuits. I mean, I used to be reasonably impatient, but you can't be impatient with nature and wildlife. They will not come out just based on your planning and your targets.
They don't care. They don't care if you're the CEO.
Nature has its own course, right? So I've learned to be far more patient. The second is planning helps. The other P, planning, you need to find out the place, the month, the time, sometimes the ocean tides, when the full moon is up. There are a lot of elements, just like in any business. So you need to have a very strong plan in advance. I do a lot of planning for that. The third is, like in anything in life, the persistence. You got to give that perseverance. Sometimes it doesn't yield the results, but you got to be keep trying. And the last is, which I believe as a personal thing, is the providence as part of the P, which is basically fate and destiny. it plays an important role in everyone's life. Some believe in it, some call it coincidental. I choose to believe in it.
Yeah.
I choose to believe in the miracles of life.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen this in my wildlife pursuits also. I mean, umpteen number of cases where I feel that without some intervention of some, super power, I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I did or what I saw.
Yeah.
So I've reaffirmed my belief in the
Yeah.
fate and destiny.
Okay.
But the other learnings from this entire journey of mine is that I've learned to be far more adaptive, right? I stay in tents with no washrooms and in blistering cold, and this is not once or twice, it happens quite frequently,
Yeah.
right? So while in business, we are accustomed to traveling in and staying in hotels, 5-star and all.
Yeah.
And sometimes we start taking that as granted and as a
Yeah.
privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy that I could see the other side and maintain that balance,
Yeah.
right? Also, when you go out in the nature and the wild, I think you gain far more empathy for what all is there,
Yeah.
and you begin to appreciate it
Yeah.
far more,
Yeah.
right? You learn a lot from the wildlife behaviors. Sometimes that is what I put on the LinkedIn also. So the another interesting part is the whole fear and risk control. I've become uh, completely fearless
Okay.
after encountering so many adventures in the jungles and wild. Uh, but I must caution, being completely fearless is also not good, right? Because it can lead to some unnecessary dangers, right? But you become far more strong in mind, right? You're able to take bolder decisions. You can become more aggressive in your business plans,
Yeah.
right? Without that paralysis by analysis
Yeah.
of fear, failure, right? Um, at the same time, I was thinking of an analogy. There was a movie where an accountant, I think he was an assassin by the night time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hitman. Probably his day job was so boring that he had to
Yeah.
resort to that. So fortunately, I have enough adventure in my personal life that I don't need to be too adventurous in my corporate life
Okay.
also.
Yeah.
It's a good balance. Yeah, so I think it's been a great journey and a lot of learnings.
Yeah. I think you made a very pertinent point that in any people business, CEO is a CHRO, and in your organization, you do not have a designated CHRO also. But why? Because of course, as a CEO, you have to keep connecting with your people, but there are so many more things that a CHRO brings to the table. And I'm sure, of course, those are getting taken care of by a lot of the individuals. But why did you come up with that thought of not having a designated CHRO?
Okay, I'll lay it out honestly. I think we have some very capable HR leaders.
Yeah, of
You've
course.
interacted with some of them
Yeah, yeah,
probably. Um, and even in our management structure, we follow a more of a collective leadership model.
yeah.
So we have something called group management committee.
Hmm.
The convener, I'm facilitate that. I call for those meetings, but they are senior leaders who take decisions, a lot of decisions collectively.
Yeah.
Similarly, we have a group HR committee,
Hmm.
right, where the senior leaders of HR. So it's a collective leadership. I would
Got
say
it.
the collective leadership is equivalent to that CHRO. Yes.
Got it. Got it. So, on that only, like you're a large scale employer.
Mm.
So tell me something about how do you make it a great place to work for your employees? How do you provide them a sense of belonging to the brand that is SIS because your field force is across India.
Mm.
So how do you get some of this, employee values built in for in your procedures and for your employees?
Right. So, as you know, we have almost 3 lakh people,
Yeah.
right? We are very particular that we don't have any bias towards any particular state, language, gender. So we have a mix of people from all backgrounds,
Yeah.
even differently able people. We have a lot of them working with us, right? All our leaders, again, they come from all different states. It just so happens almost all our leaders belong to different states, right? We have an intentional strategy then also to shift some of our regional leaders, zonal leaders from one state to the other after every few years.
Okay.
Right? So then it doesn't become like you belong to that state, this community. And we are very, very particular that anybody who's discriminating on any basis is strictly dealt with. And the same goes for our clients also.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you see a lot of cases where a security guard in a housing complex is treated, and we go all out to support our guards. Right? Of course, unless they've committed some true felony, which normally they don't. But our society feel as a privileged class that they are. And that's one of my personal value also. I consider all of us equal. Absolutely. And I get very emotional about that too also. Right? So that gives a feeling that this is an equal opportunity company. We've had people who were guards or janitors who've become directors, so that opportunity is there for everyone. It's bonding like a family. The only discrimination is that yes, performance has to be there. So it's a performing family culture. Right?
So, and you have been at the SIS Group for about 13 years, 13, 14 years?
Yeah, it's been, I think, almost 16 years of association. Yeah, full-time about 13 years.
13 years. So, tell me, when you picked up this job and where you see your organization today, what are some things that you're proud of? What has changed? I know this is a legacy organization, but what are some of the things that you're really proud of that you have been able to do that sitting in India and for the workforce in India?
I think a lot of that groundwork foundation had been laid by our chairman, founding
correct.
chairman, Mr. R.K. Sinha. I think he did a fabulous job of creating that culture, that structure. We have something called a graduate trainee officer cadre, right? We've had almost 40 such batches. They are the people who are driving our business.
Okay.
Right? It's almost like that army cadre. They go through rigorous training, they bond together. So all of these ideas came from a founding chairman. Right? His statement, very famous, is that if you take care of your people, they will take care of the business. And we've abided by that philosophy. So I didn't have to create something new. My job was to maintain that.
Okay.
Right? Maintain that culture, especially as you scale up. The risk is that culture might get diluted because you're so fast spread. You acquire new companies. So that is one part I take a lot of personal interest, because the integration of new companies, any company that you acquire, they have their own history from the past, their own good thing, their culture. So it's a fine balance of bringing them into the family without making them feel like, oh, bahar se bahu types aa rahi hai. Right? So you have to work that, and I think we've done that quite well, and I'm quite proud of that. I'm also very proud of the things like in COVID time. We were probably the organization that did the largest number of vaccinations. We did almost 4 lakh vaccinations, and we personally monitored that. Dhiraj Singh, who's Mr. R.K. Sinha's son and managing director, he and I were constantly monitoring this. Rituraj actually took the call that there'll be no layoffs. In fact, we gave early salary advance because that was the time people needed that. And there were a lot of other things, small things, like we had our ambulances for people to go to the hospitals, how we took care of all their statutory benefits, especially for unfortunate people who departed during that period. So that was a moment of crisis for everyone, all of us. For us, it was more so because we were out there in the front. We were emergency services provider, and how we handled that, I think that that definitely is something of a moment of pride for us.
No, I think I am aware of some of the great stories that we heard about SIS at that time, and in fact, we even awarded your organization as one of the leadership in times of crisis. That's a category that we had got for COVID times, and especially when you're employing so many people who are at the forefront of this,
Right.
right? That's your security guards. So And it really warms my heart that you did not decide to lay off even a single employee.
Yes.
And that's why we did see a shoot up in employee sentiment across India Inc. by
Correct.
about 4 to 5 points. I think that was a very India specific scenario
Yeah.
where most of the organizations took
Mm.
the employee first stand that
Mm.
we are not going to lay off our people.
Mm.
We'll probably take cuts at the senior levels, we'll
Mm.
take more cuts.
Mm.
But for our employees who are at the bottom of the rung or who really need to, or probably are the single earners of the family, they should not go without salaries.
Mm.
I think India Inc. did a fab job at that time. Of course, we are seeing some of that plateau now
Mm.
because wellness is becoming the biggest change. So, on that, I wanted to ask you, since you touched upon COVID,
Mm.
and also, how do you create a more inclusive culture for your employees?
Mm.
Uh, and you yourself are interested in wellness and how it provides you perspectives on life and leadership.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you about employee well-being. What are some of the initiatives? And that's becoming very, very prominent in India,
Mm.
especially with Gen Z. It's becoming even more pertinent. And as an organization, you have a lot of employees who are in that age categories, in their
Correct.
30s and
Mm.
20s. So what are some of the initiatives that you're doing to take care of well-being of your employees so that they feel,
Mm.
they can give their best selves to work?
Absolutely, Balbir. I am a strong, almost fanatical believer in the well-being
Yeah.
for it, because a healthy employee is going to be far more productive, right? Can give far more to the company, to the clients, right? And ours is a stressful job, as many jobs are, right? But these jobs are physically demanding also, night times, in rough terrains. So, I mean, I was in Madhya Pradesh, in Raipur, Chhattisgarh, and the heat out there at this time is just almost unbearable, and our guards have to stand there. So, but that's our job, right? As our strategic management, we make sure that everyone is taken care of for medical insurance. We have one of the best medical insurance programs for all our employees. We last year introduced for that life insurance, and that probably is one of the biggest welfare schemes that have been liked by our staff, because no other company does that to the level that we've done that, right? Right from 50 lakhs to 5 crores is the amount that we've covered. That gives a mental assurance, not to the employee, but to the whole family.
Yeah.
Um, we recently conducted a medical test across all India, right? So, covering every district, 680 districts. That was huge mammoth exercise where we had everyone undergo their medical examinations. Even in COVID times, I'm a believer in meditation and mental stress management, right?
Yeah.
That is one of the most challenging and most escalating problems, even for the workforce, right? Mental stress of all kinds. I held personal meditation classes online for a large number of people. I was doing that meditation with them together. I wrote a book on that meditation also after that. And we have continued that our HR team continues to do that for mental stress relief. We have the helplines, etc., for all our employees.
Yeah.
So we have a holistic approach, and then of course setting that by example. So people, I take them for treks, on walks, and some people realize that they are not as physically fit, and they make the efforts to become fitter. And I sometimes do it bluntly also. I just yesterday, one of our HR guys, again, after marriage, he's put on a lot of weight. And at a young age, I had seen him climb the stairs and he was panting. So you have to observe certain things and give the right feedback.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you give that feedback and you yourself lead by example,
Yeah.
I try and take as much care of my health. I think it makes then a ripple effect across the organization. To some extent, yes, I'm personally a little proud of this fact that yes, I was able to alter that scale of fitness for the group.
I think leading by example is very, very important, especially if you're able to do that as a leader, you have that added advantage.
Correct.
And then you also have lessons from wildlife, and of course, gray hair always helps.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah. No, I'm just saying because then people know you're walking the talk.
Mhm.
Not just giving advice on health and well-being. So I'll go to my favorite question, Dheeraj, now. Something I ask all the leaders all the time.
Mm.
What is that one quality or one question that you always ask when you're hiring a leader for your own team, someone who's going to work with you?
Um, as I'd emphasized, I think emotional maturity, emotional resilience is very important for me. So the question I'll ask normally for all our senior leaders, especially, is what's been the most stressful moment in their life and how did they handle it?
Hmm.
That gives me a fair idea as to what they consider as stress,
Yeah.
and how did they cope with it? How did they resolve it? So that is one of my favorite questions.
Okay. Okay. So basically, how are you able to take care of your own well-being in the times of stress?
Yes, and also how did you react to it? I mean,
React to it.
stress is basically a reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not the external environment
Exactly.
that throws
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did that person react?
Hmm.
How did he manage himself?
Yeah.
Can be reflective of how that person can manage against stresses in the business.
Got it. Got it. And we have been partnering for last 4 5 years. So how has the Great Place to Work partnership, the survey that we do with all your employees, how has this partnership helped you?
It's been a great partnership, Balbir, because it's raised the awareness
Hmm.
on a both formal basis as well as informal basis,
Yeah.
that there are expectations of an employee from an institution like ours, right? There are benchmarks that need to be followed. There are things that need to be improved. There are things that need to be sustained,
Yeah.
right? Uh, it sometimes feels like you're on a treadmill, right? But it's a good treadmill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's why every year we are happy to get on this treadmill.
Yeah, the same thing for us. We just concluded our annual learning conference
Hmm.
where we dived into our own results.
Hmm.
So we always also eat our own food.
Hmm.
So it's a point of reflection for us also. Dhiraj, with this, I would like to move into some rapid fire questions if you're
Hmm.
game for it.
Oh, absolutely.
All good. So I know you read a lot of books
Hmm.
and you've also written quite a few.
Yes.
But what are the books that you would recommend, that have had the maximum or highest impact on you? Two or three book names that you think are something that,
Yeah.
really added value to you.
There's a book called Personality by Nettle, right?
Hmm.
Different type of personalities, how people are.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting book to
Yeah.
understand why the different personalities. And then similarly, again, How the Brain Thinks, which
Hmm.
is by the Nobel Prize winner Daniel,
Yeah.
Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
These are some of the examples of the books that I enjoy learning. Of course, my own book, All Out, is something that I've loved writing, and I encourage everyone to, not because of the book, I mean, the owl's photos or the
Yeah.
technique, but it's about that journey.
Yeah.
That was the first time I started photography in my life
Okay.
in early 2022. I'd never held any camera in my life. I didn't know about any birds. And I embarked upon the project that most birders consider the most difficult task, to complete all the owls in Indian subcontinent in 1 year.
Wow. If I were to define your leadership style in one words or two words, how will you define your own leadership style?
I earlier mentioned about the balance part.
Yeah.
I think any leader goes through a journey um, as he or she progresses through the corporate ranks. And I think uh, for me, it's been more evolutionary, if I have to put it in a word. How I've evolved myself as a leader, um, how I've evolved myself as a human, as a person. That is something that I constantly rate myself.
Hmm.
Just yesterday, there was a discussion, I won't mention with whom, but post that discussion, and it was a little tricky discussion. I rated myself that I was 85% in terms of how I should have handled that discussion.
Yeah.
So I'll work towards improving on that. So it's an evolution. So I'll call myself as an evolutionary journey.
Hmm. So reflecting on what happened yesterday,
Hmm.
and probably uh, what is the best advice that you received as a leader? Uh,
There are a lot of advices, but two that come to my mind. One is by Mr. Rajiv Singh, the chairman of DLF.
hmm.
There was an incident that happened in my life about 12 years ago where I trusted somebody a lot, and that person backstabbed me. it had a lot of repercussions. So Mr. Rajesh Singh was aware of that. He called me and he made a statement that, Dhiraj, look, don't stop trusting people, because
Yeah.
that's one of your strength areas,
Yeah.
right? Because that could have been a point where I would have probably switched. The other is, again, Rituraj Sinha, our managing director. I've learned a lot in terms of managing that, again, emotional balance in terms of stress. And he gave an example of the lizard when it's on the wall.
Yeah.
So lizard might feel that it is holding up that whole wall. And so there are two learnings from this, that you need to be humble. It's not that that lizard is holding the wall, and not get too stressed about things that
Yeah.
the wall will fall if I kind of move somewhere. So these are two important learnings I've.
And who is a leader that you admire the most, Dhiraj?
Um, I put it in two categories, Balbir, if you allow me. One
Yeah, yeah.
is people who I've not met, um, but I know about them, I've heard
Yeah,
about them.
yeah.
In politics, I see Nelson Mandela, Mr. Nelson Mandela, as a great leader personality.
Got it.
Maybe because of his, again, ability to rebound and emotional resilience over a long period of time. Similar traits, again, in sports, I see in Michael Jordan, right?
Okay.
Um, how he again came back, bounced. So
Yeah.
these are leaders that I don't know, but I get inspired. In terms of people that I know, I've worked with, um, I call them as my 5 Rs.
Yeah.
Right. It so happened, again, by fate or destiny, these are people with names starting with R. Right.
Okay.
So Mr. Rajiv Singh, again, as from
Yeah.
DLF, I've learned
Yeah.
a lot from him. Mr. Ray O'Rourke, who's the UK company, one of the
Yeah.
largest from there. Mr. R.K. Sinha, who's the
Yeah.
founding chairman. Rituraj himself.
Yeah.
And the last R is my wife, Rashmi.
Okay.
She's a leader at home.
Okay.
And yeah, I get emotional about it, but
Okay.
yeah, I've learned a lot from her too.
And I think I saw a photo on LinkedIn. I think sometimes you go on your wildlife photo capturing journeys together. Is that right? I think I saw one picture. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. She used to go with me more often. Now she's kind of given up on it.
Okay. Okay.
It is sometimes too stressful for her. So
Okay. No
yeah,
problem.
so we
No
made
problem.
peace on that.
No, no problem. I thought I just saw a photo. And before we wrap up, I can't let you off the hot seat
Mm,
without asking this question. And you have told about your learnings from leaders like Mr. Rajiv Singh.
mm,
What will be your advice to young leaders, in India Inc? Because we keep hearing about Make in India, what a potential India has. India has its own growth story. Even though all that's happening, the stock market has
mm,
rebounded back in
mm,
India.
mm.
So we have great story. So what's your advice to young leaders in India?
My first advice would be original.
Hmm.
A lot of us are trying to be copycats, social media influence. They want to be that. I think originality is a concept that might be underrated, underestimated, right? Um, Sometimes being original means you have to be slightly rebellious against the established norms.
Yeah.
Um, I follow that in my life, and sometimes it's proven to be a disaster. Often it's given me the results,
Yeah.
right? The second is, again, I would advise the young generation, especially, to invest in four management categories. Is time management,
Yeah.
very, very useful. I mean, time is limited for all of us,
Yeah.
right? How we utilize our time, multitasking. I do training programs for time management.
Hmm.
Some of the reputed lawyers, actually, they consult me separately for
Wow.
this.
Okay.
So time management is one. Your body management, which is a physical management, that energy source,
Yeah.
right? You have to invest in that. Network management, networking with all kind of people. And lastly, again, my favorite is emotional management, right?
Hmm.
So you got to make sure that you invest your time, efforts in management of these four categories. Second is that while you should love doing deals, but you should love people also.
Yeah.
I mean, you should love growing people as much as you love growing the valuation of your companies,
Yeah.
right? That would be my, yes, summary of advice. I mean, the future I see for workforce is going to be a balance, or the leaders who will succeed are those who have a unique blend of empathy, creativity, and technology.
Okay.
So these are the three and whys. But empathy, creativity, and technology, the combination of these three are what going to be the differentiators of real successful leaders.
Okay, absolutely. Empathy, creativity, and technology. Yeah,
Yes.
technology is at the center of everything. You
Yes.
can't
You
can't
can't
run
escape
away.
that.
You can't
Yes.
escape. And I think we are seeing some of the fastest advancements happening in technology in our lifetimes right now.
Absolutely.
So that's a separate conversation altogether.
Okay.
Probably we'll need another hour for that.
Yeah.
But with that, Dhiraj, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for arranging for this podcast and making yourself available and sharing some great insights for our listeners, for some young leaders, and for everyone. How do you keep a balance between your passions, your work, and something that gives you a lot of pride in doing? So, thank you again, Dheeraj.
It's been
Thank
an
you.
absolute pleasure, Balbir. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.